Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I am Chuck Todd reporting in Washington, where rising concerns over the Chinese Communist government's influence inside the United States took center stage today. The CEO of the hugely popular video sharing platform TikTok testified before a House committee today for 5+ hours, just 2 weeks after national security officials called the Chinese-owned app a, quote, loaded gun pointed at the United States. And as the White House considers a nationwide ban of the app altogether. The CEO, Shou Zichu, testified that the app has now amassed more than 150 million users in the United States. It's basically half the population, just under. He tried to reassure lawmakers that the company had an extensive plan to protect U.S. user data by essentially keeping it firewalled in the United States. And it claimed it would not be beholden to any foreign government.
ByteDance is not owned or controlled by the Chinese government. It's a private company. 60% of the company is owned by global institutional investors. 20% is owned by the founder, and 20% owned by employees around the world. The potential security, privacy, content manipulation concerns raised about TikTok are really not unique to us. Ownership is not at the core of addressing these concerns. We will firewall protected US data from unwanted foreign access. TikTok will remain a place for free expression and will not be manipulated by any government.
Lawmakers appeared unconvinced by his arguments. Multiple lawmakers also flagged concerns about the app's effects on mental health. And members on both sides of the aisle told Shou that they remain deeply concerned by warnings from the U.S. intelligence community over potential Chinese government control of the app, its data, and perhaps most importantly, its unique algorithm.
To the American people watching today, hear this: TikTok is a weapon by the Chinese Communist Party to spy on you, manipulate what you see, and exploit for future generations.
I still believe that the Beijing Communist government will still control and have the ability to influence what you do. And so this idea, this Project Texas, is simply not acceptable.
I don't believe that it is technically possible to accomplish what TikTok says it will accomplish through Project Texas. I just think that there are too many back doors through that process to allow that to be possible.
You have, in fact, been one of the few people to unite this committee, members, Republicans and Democrats, to be in agreement that we are frustrated with TikTok. We're upset with TikTok.
Fascinating, isn't it? Congressman Cardenas is right about that one. You might not be surprised to hear that lawmakers often seem to struggle in this hearing to understand the technical details about how TikTok operates. But one thing we do know that Congress does understand is simply raw power, which brings us to TikTok's fundamental argument that it would simply be too disruptive for lawmakers to take away something used by 150 million of their constituents. And according to new polling from the Washington Post, a very big chunk of the app's user base seems to understand the risks highlighted by lawmakers. A majority of them actually agree it's likely that TikTok allows the spread of false information and that the app is collecting Americans' personal data for the Chinese government. And 41% believe that it's likely the app lets Beijing control the content U.S. users see. And yet, they use the app anyway, and they use it a lot. Only 21% of TikTok users support a ban. And that number drops among younger users, who are more likely to be on the platform. But think about the fact that something you use, you want to be banned. Does that tell you how addictive the platform is? 1 in 5 users are for the ban? That's astonishing if you think about it. So while users may be okay with the risks TikTok poses, clearly Washington is not. Today's hearing comes as bipartisan bills have been introduced in both the House and the Senate, and it targets technology produced by or housed in countries deemed adversaries of the United States. TikTok has already been banned on U.S. government devices, and many state governments have done similar restrictions. The White House recently gave the company's Chinese owners an ultimatum to divest from the app or face a nationwide ban. And despite efforts by TikTok to distance themselves from the Chinese government, Beijing has now come out against a forced sale of the company, saying any divestiture must be, quote, in accordance with Chinese laws and regulations. Talk about undermining the TikTok CEO's testimony today. That alone does. What happens now is a bit unclear. But based on the warnings of national security officials and the massive growth of the platform, the clear message from U.S. officials is that some kind of action is needed now. In other words, TikTok.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.